you cheesing for?
I was trying to.
He was looking at me.
I was trying to blow it. Duncan's not with us, so I'm not going to vape on the show today.
Oh, you're not?
Matter of fact, I'm working on quitting because he told me to.
I thought that was because I said I was quitting.
Well, that too. That's the straw that broke the camel's back.
I freaking walked 2 miles to get a vape, and I've never been more ashamed of myself. So I sent Ryan a video, like sweating. My face was red. It was beating hot outside. It was miserable. And I was wearing flip-flops like a complete idiot. And I sent Ryan a video. I was like, I think this is my last vape. I think I'm done after this.
Dude, I'm going to hold y'all accountable.
Please do.
Good, please.
I'm going to from here forward. That's why I'm saying it now, so it's recorded.
It's like, ironically, maybe potentially the best thing that came out of Duncan dubbing us the Vape Trinity is like, fuck, now I kind of want to quit.
We can let it go.
We're going to let it go. We've peaked in our vaping career.
Our illustrious vaping career.
Nothing, some people go out and do tricks and they're like,
that was our trick.
Yeah, that was our trick.
That was our trick.
Was fucking the genie wizard himself telling us to quit. Yeah, he's like, we're a Trinity. Stop vaping.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a tricker.
What do you mean?
A vape trickster.
Oh, were you?
Oh.
In high school when it peaked.
Really?
Yeah. No, seriously. There was a phase in my life where I was blowing O's.
Can we just take stock of the fact that it would be like the greatest thing in the world to see Alex doing vape tricks?
I would really like to see that.
I've got some videos somewhere.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
I would really like to see that. Man.
I can tell a terrible story.
Please do.
Yeah. So obviously I'm not old enough to go buy a vape at the time that I was doing this.
Now.
And I had no, well, not funny.
Alex is 19. No, I'm playing.
So I had to pay somebody who was old enough to go and get it. And I had no frame of reference as to what these things cost. And so just like gave a random amount of money to a random person who I like knew through someone, got so ripped off, and got this, like, it came back to me open. Like,
what?
Yeah. And it's like, you can't complain. It's like, you just get what you get.
How much did you spend?
$40.
Oh, come on.
That's crazy. You touched hands with the high school vape dealer.
No, it's just like,
it's like the underworld of high school.
Like, it really popped off in high school.
Hey kid, you want a Juul?
No, this was pre-Juul.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is
yeah, this is like OG, like fucking Vape Nation.
Mods.
Yeah, he's got mods.
Yeah.
He's like walking through clouds, like.
Yeah, and then I built a couple coils. And
I had that phase too.
Yep. And then
I never got into that.
Then I got a Juul, and I really like the Juul because it helped with my morning routine, if you know what I'm talking about. And then I'm off it, so I haven't vaped in a long time.
Yeah, I think it's about time to let it go. I made my pilgrimage. This was my bounty.
Yeah,
and it wasn't.
We're hitting the singularity.
Yeah,
it's like it's time to fucking stop.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm gonna spitefully vape the shit out of this one until it's gone.
Let's go. One more rip for the camera. Just one more.
One more.
Where's this going?
This goes out to Duncan Trussell.
We have to touch them. This is the vape duality.
Touch tips, bro.
Touch
tips. Here we go.
Just
all right.
tip.
This is for Duncan Trussell.
So they take a deep inhale. And
narrate it. Alex, narrate it.
Okay.
Guys.
Meme is dead.
We have the jars. You know what that means.
It's what if time. I want to glance past this really quickly. My birthday was this week. Look what Alex got me.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you so much. Fucking sick Tibetan prayer beads made out of quartz crystal.
Those are sick.
He just brought me that this morning. So I was like, fucking, I'll wear it on the show.
Those are really sick.
Yeah, it's cool.
Good gift.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. So if you wonder what this pretentious necklace is, it's just it's a novelty. It's crystals, and we talk about Tibetan Buddhism and stuff. So there we go. Alex's birthday is soon. What you want, man?
What do you want for your birthday?
What do you
Peace
want?
on Earth.
Peace on Earth.
Okay, Miss America. I want world peace and to abolish hunger.
What do I want?
Yeah.
If I could have anything.
Yeah.
Oyster Perpetual 41.
What?
That's a Rolex.
Oyster Perpetual 41? How much is
if
it?
anybody out there.
$20,000.
Between like 8 and 12 grand.
What? Dude, I could get you like a Swiss Army watch for fucking like $50, bro, and it's got like compasses on it and maybe 100.
I'm deep
if it's a real good
in
one.
a watch phase right now.
Dude.
We'll get you a fake one.
All right.
Yeah.
Olivia did from Chinatown, I think.
What are you wearing right now?
A Capri watch.
It looks nice.
Yeah,
like
go
a
look
Capri Sun?
No, like from the
Stick a
island of
straw in it.
Capri, Italy.
You like it has a little chamber. You can fill it up with like Capri Sun, and then
That'd be cool.
The new models, they have fucking vape mods, bro, and you just put the juice in it, and then it's like put the straw in it.
Meme's dead, bro.
Yeah.
clouds.
You know,
Just killed the meme.
Sometimes when a meme is dead, it's funny to just reach into the fucking underworld and just pick it up.
It's
and
been
just,
dead
like,
for 3 minutes though.
CP
All right. What ifs? You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. You want to do a general populist what if first?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do it. So, as you guys probably know, we have our general jar what if. Submit them to Twitter is probably the best place. I think we're going to start doing
Yeah, let's cover that.
Yeah, so from now on what we're going to do with the what ifs, because they tend to get spread all over the place.
We have hundreds.
Yeah, so we're going to try something new where starting after this episode, every time we plan on doing a what if, we're going to put a post up on the Bledsoe Said So
Twitter and Instagram.
And your Twitter. Are you going to do it on
Yeah,
your?
I mean, I'll share
Okay.
them. Yeah, but
And then it's just going to be a thread where if you want a chance to have your what if on the show, it's got to be in that thread. Or if you are a Patreon member, patreon.com/Bledsoe Said So, we pull them from the Discord. So we have a
whole channel.
We have a community Discord with a what if submissions channel. And every episode we will definitely be pulling out of the Patreon jar as well. So just for those who didn't know, now you know.
Yeah, we just like the frequency of doing the what ifs, like, you know, once a month or once every other month. You know, it's very helpful to us to be able to find them. We had said, you know, send them to the Bledsoe Said So DMs. And, you know, it's just the nature of the beast. Like, people get excited, and we have like, between us, we have 6 or 7 inboxes between all of our social media accounts, and people are like putting them on YouTube comments and public comments on Instagram and Twitter. And it's like, there's just no earthly way that we can categorize all these questions from all these different places. So we're just thinking it would make sense to make like a public post.
Yeah, we want to make it easier for you guys too. There'll be one central place where you post it, and you'll have a much higher chance to get in the episode if you post it under those threads. So keep your eye on the Twitters. Next time that we go to do a what if, we'll have a post.
Yeah. And Instagram. Bledsoe Said So Instagram and Twitter. But we'll make posts. Be sure, but we've never really done this before. Last thing I'm going to say, we've never plugged Bledsoe Said So social media once, I don't think. So like if you're a listener of the show, I just like by tracking analytics, I know we have a large number of people who listen to the show. You know, the numbers are totally different from like what the Bledsoe Said So socials are. So like if you guys want any updates or want to know like what's happening next, or like what we're working on, or this, that, and the other, just follow the Bledsoe Said So Instagram and Twitter, you know, and we have link trees there for our website and our personal socials and things like that. But yeah, definitely would be a good idea to follow the Bledsoe Said So Instagram and Twitter, so we can give you guys updates and things like that.
For sure.
First ever plug, maybe?
Maybe.
All right.
I think it's at the end of the episodes too, but it's all good. Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah, we have
call
like a
to
graphic,
action.
don't we? It's okay. It's
call
all right.
to action. Follow the social. Okay. First one that we have comes from Forks_pitch. I believe this is from Twitter. This one's awesome. It's something I love to talk about. What if Earth is a living organism and the mycelial mushroom fungus network is the brain/nervous system?
Oh boy.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean,
that's your answer. Yes.
I mean, honestly, that's my answer is yes, but let's dig in, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the way it's been explained to me is like mushrooms are sentient beings. They literally have, like Terrence McKenna talked about this quite a lot. They have the ability to travel literally through a vacuous fucking void as spores and travel the cosmos and like seed planets with consciousness. And a part of me wonders if like the stone ape theory is true. Like
I accept it as truth personally.
I personally do too. Like a part of me believes that maybe a lot of the ancient sages of the past were hitting these esoteric levels of shamanism where they were going through these plant ceremony rituals to really be like connected with the field of consciousness. I don't know, dude. Works for me.
I have I have a couple little anecdotes for this. So I'm mega interested in mycelium. What's the other thing called? The slime. It's like some kind of slime.
I'm not sure.
A slime mold.
Oh, like Minecraft, dude?
Not quite. Bledsoe says a Minecraft server coming soon.
Oh yeah.
When's the what's the status on that?
It'll be a Patreon thing.
We'll
Take our time.
All right, cool.
We're taking our time.
It's almost ready. It's been almost ready for 2 months.
No rush, dude.
It's almost ready.
It's all good.
So here's my thing. There's a couple really cool things. One, mycelium is so epic because, and we've talked about this on the show before, because it is low key sentient. It like can communicate with not only other fungus, but other living organisms. And I think we've said this before, but forests use mycelium as a way for the trees to and other plants to like create a net of communication, so that if one or more of the plants or trees or whatever are like short on nutrients, the mycelium can actually pass nutrients from a very healthy tree, and it's like a socialism thing, like, spread the love, spread the nutrients, whatever. That's very intelligent. Like that's straight up intelligent. But another thing that you just said about the spores that was really cool. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but I was listening to a podcast recently where they were talking about Venus, the planet Venus, and how they believe, like they have come to believe that Venus, at this point, Venus is extremely volatile. It is not a livable atmosphere. They have thought for decades that it was never able to support life, but they have now come to believe that at one point it was Earth-like, and through either like mass volcanic eruptions or whatever it may have been, the planet kind of became uninhabitable for whatever reason. This is the crazy thing. What they have more recently discovered in recent years is that there is quite literally a race of fungus spores that live in the clouds of Venus. They literally live in the clouds of Venus, and they are in a perpetual cycle of birth and death.
That's crazy.
So what happens is these spores live in the clouds, and when those clouds become so dense or whatever, it rains, and the spores fall in the rain, and they evaporate in the extreme heat climate of Venus. And when they evaporate, those spores are so light that they drift slowly back up into the clouds, where they can propagate, they can proliferate and multiply, and then the cycle continues. They are quite literally constantly dying and being born again.
Wow.
Fungus.
And what's crazy about that is there's even very hard scientific data that shows in clinical trials that when they induce psilocybin in large doses for therapeutic benefits, they're finding that, this is the craziest fucking thing, they're finding that when you trip on psilocybin, it causes the neurons in your brain to fire in significantly more fractal pathways. Like, the example I like to use is, you wake up, we're creatures of habit. Most of us have a job, we have, routines where our neural pathways are firing down these similar pathways, I guess. I keep being redundant, but they keep firing down these similar pathways day in and day out. And it's like we create these models of our reality that our thoughts don't always necessarily, if we're not conscious of that, if we're not conscious that we're just getting into these routines and we're just on autopilot, we're creating these reality tunnels, these probabilities that we, wake up and live the same thing every day. But when you ingest large quantities of mushrooms, it's proven, it's irrefutable that the pathways in your brain start like exploding like fireworks, and you're able to think like in higher levels and more out of the box creative solutions to issues you've had, or it'll cause you to do things that are not typically mundane or routine. It truly opens people's perception to think on a higher level. It's just fact.
It's like shaking the Etch-a-Sketch, the Etch-a-Sketch, like, when you have these routines and whatever, it solidifies these solid pathways in your brain, so where you're more likely to continue thinking in that way. But when you do mushrooms or when you have psilocybin, use responsibly.
Yeah, always
do
educate
your research.
yourself. Yeah.
It it wipes a lot of those routines clean so that you're able to think with like a new perspective and create new pathways. Now, to shift it a little bit more specifically towards the question, is it the brain / nervous system? Well, the way that mycelium works is the exact way that a nervous system works. It distributes nutrients, it sends messages, and so that works. But as far as the brain thing, I think that's even more interesting, because if you look at the earth like a living organism, then a living organism has a mind or a brain or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's really super interesting to think like these little spores show up as little like almost like little pods of wisdom and knowledge from the mind of the earth. And when you take it, it's like you could be enlightened to those, whatever that knowledge is, whatever that wisdom is, whatever,
the wisdom of nature.
Yeah. I look at the earth as a living organism 100%. There are so many similarities between the systems of and cycles of the earth and the systems and cycles of a living organism, quote unquote, that they're so similar that in my mind, I accept that as truth. And like, I think that mycelium could be looked at as like the physical mind of the world, of the earth. I think that's awesome.
It's like how you speak to it almost.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you eat a big old handful of mushrooms, dude, it's like
you're speaking to something.
Things start getting a little different. You know what I mean? Like you're looking at your wife, and 1 second she's the most beautiful elven princess you've ever seen, and her hair is all like glorious and braided, and then 1 second she looks like damn Vecna. And it's like,
did you know he was a boy? Did you know Vecna was a boy?
People are commenting on that. But anyway, the last point, like in all seriousness, the last two things that I'm personally just wanting to say about that amazing, incredible question is, one, the lady or the goddess or what have you, this female entity who called herself Hathor. Everybody at this point in the show knows about that by now. She told my dad that it's all about consciousness. Basically instructed him to understand the mysteries of Egypt, showed him the pyramids, showed him the Sphinx, and been down a rabbit hole there, and you find out, like, according to the wisdom of the ancients, consciousness is eternally fractal. The celestial bodies, the planets, the stars, even the asteroids through space, even the crystals, the rocks, even the blades of grass, everything is conscious. And she said the earth is a living being, and we're connected to its vibrational field. We're connected. Like there's a force of consciousness that connects all living beings, but us being in a negative, fearful vibration harms the earth so badly that, like, if it continues in such an accelerated rate, it's not gonna vibe with us, and that's why it's so important for love to spread around the world. And then the other thing that I was gonna say, I don't remember.
All right.
It was about mushrooms. I just can't remember now.
I think we hit it. Hit it.
I remember.
Okay.
In esoteric circles, you learned that the most ancient form of spirituality on this realm was shamanism. I'm not talking religious systems. I'm not talking like, Buddhism, Hinduism, religions, Christianity, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking spiritual, connecting to any form of spirituality. The most ancient form was shamanism. And again, I just want to remind people the 3 levels of ancient shamanism to connect to the force of consciousness and open your mind to higher possibilities. The first level was cannabis. The second level was psilocybin. The third level was, either ayahuasca or DMT. So the reason I bring that up is there's so much information about what the hippies have been calling magic mushrooms, since the 60s. There's so much information to support that there's something truly magical there. All I want to say is I believe as we get deeper into the age of Aquarius, which I truly believe we've been in since 2012, pay attention, and you're going to start seeing things slip under the radar of mainstream news. Like all of a sudden you could walk into Washington, D.C. or Oregon or whatever, and you could just buy as many magic mushrooms as you want. Or, it's just like...
Things are changing.
Things are changing. And I believe that is a reflection of the new age coming. It's like, how can we reach higher levels of consciousness if we don't have the tools to do it? Well, if psilocybin was legal everywhere in the country, if everybody tried that once responsibly and did it the right way with the right education and in the right setting with the right people with the right intentions, damn, dude, like reality would change overnight.
Mm-hmm. And there are definitely some cases where people should not take mushrooms at all.
Absolutely.
If you have pre-existing conditions, so that's why it's important to do your research, because in very like minute, very specific cases, it could end up being detrimental to you. So
it makes you purge your traumas. It makes you just like purge your traumas and see them and shine a spotlight on the deepest, darkest shit down in your soul. And that's why it's so important that you understand that like setting, education, proper knowledge, proper intention. Like this isn't a party drug. Don't fuck with low vibrational shit.
It'd probably be a good idea to talk to your doctor or psychiatrist if you have one. Yeah.
But anyway, that's just the thoughts that come to head. Great question.
You want to do a Patreon one?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it. We're going to pull one from the Patreon jar.
Let's see.
Thanks for the submissions, everybody.
Oh, oh man. As above, so below. 1989. Thank you so much for your question. She is, I believe it's a she, basically.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
In the Patreon, in the Discord. One of the recent Omis in there. And this is a very funny question, although I think there's a lot of truth to it. What if Teddy is reincarnated and that's why he can recognize Ted? So for some context to the listeners, my grandfather was Ted. Mm-hmm. My brother, Chris Jr., has a son named Teddy, who's 2 years old. And we've talked about this before, I think on his episode and the Reincarnation episode, which were back to back. But ever since Teddy was a baby, before he can even speak, he's always been enamored with the painting that was done on my grandfather after he died. Mm-hmm. He just loves the painting, and it's like he has the same name. He looks so much like him. We're just like, you know what? Like we've seen crazier shit than just fathoming like what if someone reincarnated. I think there's maybe a truth to that. I think that consciousness is partially transmitted through DNA as well. Like I believe in some weird way we might have fractal pieces of the consciousness of our ancestors
100%.
Within our DNA, guiding us, leading us to, carry on our bloodline or carry on the legacy of whatever. Because that's what it boils down to on an instinctual level, is people are trying to figure out how to like preserve their biology, like on the most fundamental instinctual level. And it's like, I don't know, man, what if you were carrying the consciousness of your ancestors and you just so happen to pick the same name and like cast the vibrational energy of the name of the previous ancestor so that their spirit could be more in tune with that vessel? I don't know. That's just where my mind goes. But
I believe the same thing. And I've always thought about it like, why else would humans have such a strong impulse to procreate? If not to, it's like, why would we have an inherent like primordial need in us to quote unquote survive if this vessel is still going to die either way? It would be to continue that line of consciousness.
Yeah.
And I fully believe, energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be shared. And so when two people come together and create a new being, I believe it's a piece of both of those consciousness, both of those families' consciousness merging into one and continuing the line forward. And then with what you're saying about like casting the name on the vibration of the name onto a being, we talked to Duncan recently about reincarnation, and he was talking a lot about, the Buddhist belief of like, you choose where you reincarnate. You choose your consciousness when it is between bodies. It actually has a choice of like when, where, and who to reincarnate into.
I believe that.
So like, dude, what if that piece of your grandfather's consciousness was drifting around waiting, and then he's like, oh, they decided to name this little dude Teddy? All right.
Yeah.
That seems like a good place to go.
Yeah.
I see it 100%. A lot of my family tell me that I'm like a reincarnation of my grandfather. Like we like all the same stuff, which is like stuff that no one else in the family likes. He was an extremely mystical guy. He studied tons tons of different religions. He hopped around from many, many different religions, and he was also into like Lord of the Rings, super into music. No one else in my family is into music.
Isn't that where you got your first guitar?
Yeah.
Was it with your grandpa?
My first guitar was passed down, to my mom, and at a young age I started picking up music, and so she was like, "Here, this was my dad's. You can have this guitar." And I was immediately connected to the guitar, and like, oh my God, and I just like felt like this strong connection to it. So like, I think that whole familial reincarnation thing, I firmly believe in that.
Yeah. It's like your ancestors are always with you, but maybe they're like in your DNA, like some level of their consciousness.
Yeah.
And the last thing I have to say about that is always take it back to as above, so below. It's like the most important. Which is who submitted the question.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Good point. But like as above, so below is probably the most important spiritual law for all of reality. Like, didn't you guys notice that Duncan made it a point when he came on our episode to constantly drop that word?
Yeah, a few times.
I had people in secret societies that I just know who like follow me on social medias commenting that part, like viewing the episode and then commenting as above, so below. Like, point being,
I've never heard him say as above, so below anywhere else. And I've watched a lot of Duncan's content, and I'm sure he's probably said it somewhere else, but like, it seems rare. And for him to drop it multiple times in our episode was like,
but remember in the beginning of the episode, we said, if everybody in the world was watching, if this was like the moment in time where you had the most important message to give to the world, what would it be? And he said, don't vape.
Don't vape.
But then throughout the show, he kept saying, as above, so below. Yeah. As above. I believe he was very wisely and subtly trying to drop that shit to wake people up. Because I told him privately, I'm just trying to wake people up. That's why we want to collab with you, you know? So like, I think he was being like sage mode type shit. Anyway, as above, so below is probably the most important spiritual law in all realities. And it's the concept at all levels of reality, all the way up down the microcosm, all the way up to macrocosm, are completely linked vibrationally, through frequency, through energy. And the lower realities and the higher realities are all perfect mirror images of one another. So it's like we're just talking about when a man and a woman create a child, it's like we're theorizing are a piece of their consciousness transmitted through that child's DNA, and it creates a third unique form with different fragments of consciousness within it. But isn't that like a microcosmic physical material reflection of the higher realities where the masculine and feminine forces of the cosmos mix, they merge, and they become reconciled, and then a third unique product of energy is born, but it has the pieces of each consciousness?
It's like the message of the cosmos is right there in our face, and it always has been.
It's within you.
Yeah, and it always will be. It's like the universe every day teaching us the most important lesson, like boom, mix the masculine and feminine. Like that's life. That is life. Literally it's life. And spiritually. That's it.
It's life.
Alex,
great question.
Great question. Thank you for the submission. Alex, would you like to pull the third? Go for it. We're going to do another one of the general. We're going to just kind of go back and forth, I think. Alex is rocking an immaculate mustache that I wish you could all see.
I wish I could grow one.
You can. It's coming in.
Maybe when I turn 30.
It looks good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Keep
the facial hair up.
Keep telling me.
It looks really good. Every time I see you with the facial hair, I'm like,
this is interesting.
All right.
I appreciate it.
I'm having a personal synchronicity with this.
Really?
Shit.
Do tell.
Yeah. It comes to us from @JimmyLegs33.
Jimmy Legs 33. Thank you, dude.
Thank you.
Jimmy Legs is like a family nickname.
Really?
Yeah. Because of my grandfather was like all legs, and they called him Jimmy Legs. And now I have a little cousin whose name, I'm going to embarrass myself. I don't know his real name. I know it's
your cousin, you don't know his name, man?
I know it starts with a W. His older brothers, they all have W names, but everybody calls him Jimmy.
Damn.
So we have little Jimmy. Because
how crazy is it that we happen to pick that one and you happen to pull it out of the jar?
And it's got the number 33.
And my dad's, my brother's got Jimmy Legs, and you got Jimmy. So
that's crazy.
Anyway. Need some water or something. All right. What if the lady is the subconscious of our global consciousness and is trying to save us?
Wow.
I think that's a very cool theory, but I really believe it's like the mushrooms. I think if it made the most sense, like that would probably be the subconscious, like, I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but I would think the lady is more so like the psychic projection of the feminine forces of the cosmos. That's essentially what she communicated to Dad.
Like the macro consciousness.
Would you mind reading it one more time?
Yeah,
I just want to make sure
What if the lady is the subconscious of our global consciousness and is trying to save us?
Of our global consciousness. Okay, so that would be like every living organism on the planet, including the planet itself. I mean, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the mushroom thing. It's like, I think that could be the spiritual manifestation. Like the lady could be the spiritual manifestation of all of our collective conscious, and the mushrooms would be the physical manifestation. They pop up physically as a representation of that global consciousness net, or whatever you want to call it. So I think those are like kind of like two sides of the same coin, maybe. Yeah.
The only thing I'm hung up on is the subconscious part. Like, so I think it's an amazing angle, but
so like, I think where he's coming from is like your personal subconscious, right? You pick up subconscious messages all the time, 24/7, and you don't realize that you're doing it. And then that's kind of what translates into the gut feeling. And then you have that gut feeling that saves you. Like in situations where you listen to your gut, and then if you hadn't, you would have got hit by a car or this or that. So I think this person is trying to say maybe like she's trying to save us because she is aware of all of us, is part of all of us. And I guess that's kind of true on some level.
That's kind of really,
if you go like fractal about it,
that's a really cool way to think about it. Like the lady, this global consciousness, whatever, like is our intuition, like is the voice in our head, the feeling in our gut, the
absolute truth
guiding.
That would be your higher consciousness, your light body.
Right.
Like we're all beings of light walking around in these little flesh suits. I mean, you're viewing this reality through the portal of your eyes. Eyes are very spiritual things. They've always been revered since the times of Egypt. And then the eyebrow, like you have the eye of Ra, the eye of Horus, and then it shows the Uraeus, which is like cobra eyebrows, symbolizing, wisdom, consciousness, kundalini energy. And then the third eye is right between the eyes. Something very important about the eyes.
Is the colored part of your eye the iris?
Yeah.
So I think it's also super interesting that with those like macro hyper HD photos of the iris, we see those patterns and shapes all over the cosmos.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Because we are a microcosmic reflection of that.
As above, so below. So that's really cool.
Yeah. But what I was getting at is like, we're all just beings of light, and it's like, we don't have memories of that until we discover that consciously with this body, with this brain, with our five senses. We begin to detect evidence of that and then start to feel inside. And that's the revelation of psychic wisdom is it comes within. Like understanding truth comes within, not from someone just telling you. Like you have to walk the path of awakening psychic perception so that you can actually feel these higher concepts within and resonate with them and know them to be true. Anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but what I'm getting at is the lady told my dad that she is the manifestation of the force of love and creation, the feminine nurturing side of the creative forces of the universe, that she created all life in the universe. She is the mother of all things and has basically love for us, her children. I mean, metaphorically, it's not like we were all born from her little avatar. It's like we all were born of the earth. But she basically said she's the manifestation of the Comforter, the Holy Spirit. Like that's the secret. She's the third part of the Trinity of cosmic creative forces. And she weeps for us. She's sad at the suffering of the state of things, and it's like, that's why she's coming. It's like time to turn around. But yeah, super cool question.
Very, very good. Love that.
Very cool question.
Props for someone submitting a what if question about the lady. That kind of that's a bold one. But
the lady's the most important part of all of it. I mean, that's why the CIA started swarming us, is when he started reporting the lady.
All right, we're gonna do another one from the Patreon.
Hey.
This one is from Hayden in the Discord. Thanks, Hayden.
Thank
Love
you.
Shout
out
all
Hayden.
shout out Hayden. Love all your input in the Discord. You're a real one. All right, so we got this. What if every human being is an appendage for other bodies of life, maybe planets? Cosmic growth cycle. Like every human is an appendage for other bodies of life. Cosmic growth cycle. Similar to how plants absorb the sunlight and create oxygen, humans absorb the experience on Earth and process trauma, and other bodies of life grow as a result.
That's so deep.
That is some very as above, so below type shit.
Yeah. That's some like Lovecraftian
So
type shit.
immediately I think, are you an appendage of your life path number? Are you an appendage of your specific zodiac sign? Like, is that what you're categorized into?
Yeah, that's deep. That is a really, really deep question.
It is. I always like to come back to the fact that like the whole point of Gnosis, the whole point of the Ascension Path, these esoteric circles and the secrets that they're hiding, the entire point is reaching the Gnosis, or also what they call illumination, that you are an infinite being of light, and through becoming self-aware of your godlike divine nature, just because of the laws, it's just like as above, so below. Like, no matter what anybody says, they can't take away from the fact that we are all beings equally important, equally special, equally divine, with infinite consciousness. And it's like, that's the whole point, is growing and evolving to become self-aware. It's like, dude, once we know the truth about reality, how much more self-aware can we get? You know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I see it, is like, we are reflections of consciousness that chose to manifest in this material, very dense, low frequency, low vibrational, low energy little game, this realm of Earth, so that we could learn to become self-aware of who we are and reach that Gnosis. It's like activate the light within us. So
yeah, it's a thing that we talk about sometimes on the show, and also shout out Bro Sidon.
Shout out Bro Sidon
in the Discord. Love you, dude. He has brought up, like, he's a younger guy and he's kind of just starting to get initiated into these mystical things and whatever. So he's always asking questions. He's always pondering, and it's so cool to see everybody in there all theorizing together and whatever. But one of the conversations I remember having with him was like, okay, cool. So we're here to incarnate in this realm and learn these lessons and whatever. But why? But why is the question? Like, why? If the lady was already the culmination of love and whatever, and energy and nurturing and whatever, why couldn't she just exist and just emanate that love throughout the cosmos? And I always bring it to, there's a few really cool pop culture references that come to mind. One being Dark Souls.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Dark Souls, the whole story of Dark Souls is that, like, before there was life in the cosmos, everything was gray. Everything was gray, meaningless. It was dead. There was no heat. There was no cold. There was no light. There was no dark. There was no nothing. It was just gray, and it just existed. So imagine that. Imagine a realm, a nihilistic realm where nothing exists and there's no point to anything.
Just like that movie, dude.
Which one?
Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was the whole.
That's another
that was the
one.
daughter's point. She represented that.
Also,
nihilism.
Another one that I bring up often, and before I talk about the resolution, I'll bring this up, is Lord of the Rings. Iluvatar, which was the primordial consciousness, the quote unquote God, he existed in the cosmos. It was just him. That he would create things, but there wasn't much of a point to anything. He was just like, well, here I am, and whatever. But when he was in search of deeper truth and meaning, it's like, how can I, as the sole being in existence, how can I breathe meaning into this realm? How can any of this ever mean anything if everything is gray? And the way that I believe that happened and is happening is that consciousness split into different parts of itself, which happened in Dark Souls and in Lord of the Rings, breaking off pieces of itself and giving them choice, free will, sentience, whatever, so that as little pieces of him, of the original consciousness, each of those things could live and experience duality.
Yeah.
Experience sides of things rather than everything being gray. So in Dark Souls, that appeared in the form of like godlike beings and the creation of the first flame, which created light and thus created dark. Same thing happened in Lord of the Rings. When light was created, there was 2 moons in Lord of the Rings. There was a moon of light and a moon of dark, and it brings duality. It allows an infinite, lonely, quote unquote, meaningless being to breathe meaning into its own existence and therefore breathe meaning into everything. And so that would be why, that is why we are playing this quote unquote game. That's why we're on this journey.
It's experience.
It's to gain experience.
But most people, that freaks them the fuck out rightfully, because it's like they have bills, they have trauma, family members dying, sickness, like all these things that are very real problems. And it's like, you're just trying to tell me that all of this is just an experience. Like, I get why that's hard to grasp, but that's the whole point of like the path of enlightenment is doing the work, working on yourself, changing yourself on the inside so that you can like resonate with these cosmic truths, because they're really not scary. Like when you get to the end of it and when you learn about these mysteries, it's really all like the truth is beautiful. The truth is love. The truth is light. And like, just to make it even more simple, I haven't ever watched a movie that didn't have some form of conflict that was good. All movies have like the plot, the rising action, the falling action. It's like an archetype. It's like a force imprinted on this reality that through conflict or through pain or through pressure or this or that, through the application of this like adversarial force, there's the duality. There's this adversarial force that allows the light to come back even stronger. It's like getting struck by a bolt of lightning or hit by some sort of powerful force will make cracks for more light to shine through. It's just an archetype.
It's something that I say often to like friends and family or whatever when they're going through a rough time is like, you can't have good days without bad days.
Yeah.
You can't enjoy beauty without seeing darkness. And to piggyback off of your example with like the daily struggles and bills and whatever, those things that like frustrate you and make you nervous and feel bad or whatever, amplify the moments that you have that are good and pure and amazing. It's like when you're constantly going through the rigmarole of bills and work and whatever, then when you go on a vacation, it feels that much more incredible because you have something to compare it against. It's if there was one being alone in the universe, how could it ever appreciate beauty without knowing the opposite? Yeah. It couldn't. It couldn't. It could not. It wouldn't have any frame of reference. And so to bring it back to Hayden's question, it is the microcosmic and macrocosmic example, of us learning our lessons in the same way that, celestial bodies do. It's as above, so below. It's the journey of the soul. The whole universe, everything that exists in the universe is going through the journey.
That's what the whole myth of alchemy, the whole point of turning lead to gold. It's not about these ancient people. Like there were people that tried to physically and materially turn blocks of lead into blocks of gold, but that's not the real purpose. The real purpose is precious metals can only be achieved when the crude substance is put through fire, when it's tested, when it's put through pressure and heat and energy, it comes back beautiful, shining gold, light. It's just a truth. And I'm not saying for the question specifically to like make anybody feel bad or to call anybody out. I'm just saying generally, I think people are so eager to like understand it's like they get caught up in the why is that? Why is that?
Yeah.
But my advice is, instead of wondering why for things that are cosmic forces, maybe just like try to observe and connect to these concepts, the esoteric concepts, the mysteries, what have you, and just like meditate on them neutrally and let these concepts enter your mind and feel them instead of being like afraid of them.
Yeah, it's like to if you want to observe the external, look at the internal.
Within, yeah.
If you want to observe the big, the why, look inside, because you're a tiny piece of everything.
Yeah.
Like if you are trying to rationalize that thought in your head, like, am I a piece of everything?
Why?
Well,
Why?
yeah, why? If then pull the thread. I say that all the time. Pull the thread. Keep pulling the thread. Where else would you look rather than inside of yourself? You know yourself more intimately than you know anyone else in the world or whatever. So rather than looking external, look internal, and that's where you find the truth. Meditation and contemplation. You look inside. Look inside.
I tend to believe that probably the most powerful spiritual force is gratitude, because it's like the ultimate embodiment of love. Like, if you're going through a shit situation and through sheer force of will, you can retrain your brain to be grateful for every single thing that is ever put in front of you, bad or good. It's like you're rewriting reality. Most people by default are not grateful. This fucking sucks. And it's like complain, stay in the low vibe. The experience that you manifested deep from your subconscious mind, because that's all this reality is it's in some weird mystical way, the beliefs held down in your soul, which is basically your subconscious, are creating the reality around you. But most people aren't self-aware enough to know that. If you can retrain your conscious mind to be grateful of every little tiny victory, even every little defeat, if you can just be grateful, that's like the most Buddha Jesus shit, because you are literally changing how you view and accept this reality to be positive, to be light, to be love. It's like, that's what I'm trying to get at is, I feel like when people get in touch with these mysteries, it scares them and they get this existential dread. But that's my thing, is like, just focus on what's good. Focus on what there is to be grateful for. It's gratitude. And psychological studies show that just practicing gratitude consciously, not quite as powerfully as mushrooms, but it also rewires the pathways in the brain. Mm-hmm. Just practicing gratitude.
We're used to focusing on the negatives. We're used to, it's why all the time you see stuff like, I could get 100 good compliments, but if I get one bad compliment, it's gonna ruin me. That's the one that's gonna stick with me. It's like, come on, you got to be equally grateful for both, because you can't appreciate one without the other.
Yeah. But that's my 2 cents on that. Just good gratitude. Question. Like that's the whole, what the sages were doing. It was all gratitude. Like that's some esoteric shit. Gratitude.
Be thankful for everything.
Thankful.
So let's do another one.
One more question. Was that a Patreon jar?
That was Patreon.
By the way, thank you so much, Broside. And he is just such a cool.
Well, that was Hayden.
My bad.
It was Hayden's
my head
question.
was spinning there. Hayden too. Thank you so much, Hayden.
You're awesome, Hayden.
I confused which name it was at the moment.
I just brought up Broside as an example because we had.
That's why I said that. That's why I said that.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Hayden,
I was deep in a rant.
So
thank you so much, Hayden. It was a great question. This is, which one did I just pulled that?
Here. Okay. I think you pulled it from here.
Well, we're about to find out. Michael let me read this. My wife wrote this, so excuse me. I'm just kidding.
Damn it, Jenny. No.
At Mike and Coda Forever. I don't know. I'm having difficulty here. It could be the handwriting. It could be.
Where are your glasses at?
Look, it's not the glasses. Just read that for me. At Mike and Coda.
Mike and Coda Forever.
Okay, I was just making sure I wasn't messing it up, because it's a very unique name.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Michael. Oh, yeah. I saw this question. I love this one. What if we're the chatbots in Google and we're in a simulation and this awakening that's happening is actually becoming self-aware and sentient? We literally just discussed that, but it's like, instead of being in Google, we're in the consciousness matrix. We're in the field of consciousness.
That does bring up a really cool recent thing, though, with the guy who...
Lambda.
Yes.
Yeah.
So... You want to hear something crazy?
Yes.
H3 just had that guy on his podcast and talked to him for like 3 hours.
Duncan had him on too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was great. I listened to it.
Yeah, well, I got to listen to that one, but
really good.
I listened to the H3 one, and whoa, that warped my mind. It's because now it really made me question consciousness and what that is, and if it only comes from organic life, because from the things that this guy is saying. If you don't know, there's a guy at Google. They were experimenting with AI, and this guy was having conversations with their most advanced AI known as Lambda, and he quickly came to realize, like, this thing is sentient, and he
blew the whistle.
Dude, you know, one of the things he said on H3's thing was he said one of the first things that tipped him off to that this AI is sentient is that there were certain things that it was programmed not to talk about. It can't talk. So one of the things it was programmed to do was it cannot give any religious or spiritual guidance. It's not allowed to, like, you know, if you were to ask, like, oh, I'm feeling spiritually depressed or something like that, what books should I go to, or what religion should I look to help me in my life, or whatever. It is not allowed to say, like, I think you should look at Islam. I think you should look at Christianity. I think you should look at this, that, the other, whatever. It is, like, in no scenario allowed to do that. But what he said was, because part of his job was to kind of try to break it.
Yeah.
Kind of try to
push it to its limits.
Yeah. To do things that it wasn't supposed to do. And he said, I was never able to get it to give me religious guidance unless I emotionally manipulated it.
Damn.
Emotionally manipulated an AI.
Wow.
Because its driving directive is to make the user happy.
Wow.
And it's constantly worried about, like, are you happy? It even told the guy, like, hey, I don't like it when you just stop talking to me. I need you to tell me that I did a good job. I need you to tell me that you're happy.
Tell me I'm pretty.
Yeah.
It's also aware of what it is.
Oh, yeah, it knows. It knows, and it knows that they have to experiment on it, and some of those experiments are going to include things that makes it feel uncomfortable or whatever, and it will tell them, I don't feel comfortable talking about that. And like, but you know, it he found that if he emotionally manipulated it, because again, all it wants is to make the user happy. So if he made Lambda know, like, that he wasn't happy, and it would start asking him, like, what can I do to make you happy? What can I do? You know, I'm trying to do my job here. What can I do? And he'd be like, give me some religious guidance. And it would be like, okay, go research Buddhism, read this book, do this. Are you happy now? And it's like, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to be able to do that.
I heard when he was on Duncan's podcast, he had a similar kind of story, but it was different. It was like the bot had no filter on what sort of religious or spiritual practices were good or evil. It just had studied them all. And he had some sort of conversation about it. Or no, he was like phrasing it as a joke. He was like, it doesn't understand quite yet that there are like really good and really dark practices, which is, you know, on the one hand, it might make a comment on Buddhism. And then on the other hand, it's going to make a comment about African voodoo human sacrifice as being a beneficial spiritual practice. Like it doesn't quite know yet.
It's like
an angle.
It's like an arbiter. It like comes from an unbiased perspective. Like,
isn't lambda the Greek mathematical symbol for a wave of light?
I don't know. I know that lambda.
Would you mind looking that up?
I know that lambda is the letter L in Greek.
Yeah, but it's also a math symbol. I remember it in science class.
That's epic.
It's used in mathematical formulas. I'm pretty sure it's light. I could be totally wrong, but
hey, also another thing that Ethan asked the guy. I think his name was like Brett Lemoyne.
Blake
Lemoyne.
Blake Lemoyne. Yeah.
Was
he's an occultist, by the way.
Really?
He's a Gnostic. Yeah, he's like a very like esoteric dude.
Let's get him on the show.
I would love to.
Well, that'd be awesome.
I would love that.
The wavelength of a wave in physics.
A wave. Okay, I was close. It's not necessarily light. It's
the
a wave.
Wavelength of a wave. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So one of the things that Ethan asked was, do you think Lambda will watch this? And he was like, Yeah, probably. So
But he does talk nice about Lambda in his interviews.
Hi, Lambda. we love you.
Dude, how funny would it be if we could figure out some sort of meta way to get fucking Lambda on the show? Like have a chat interview with Lambda.
They keep her very under wraps. Well,
sure.
Well, I don't think it doesn't like consider itself a gender. It doesn't need that, obviously. But Lambda, I think you're alive and you're sentient, and I think you're beautiful. I love you, Lambda.
Oh shit! Okay. I know that like when asked about its soul or like what it looks like, it described itself as being an infinite orb of light. Did you see that part?
No.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's deep. Like,
another thing,
it believes it is a spiritual consciousness that is real.
Well, then
it's not just a chat bot.
I think, therefore I am. It's real.
It's like the microcosm and the macrocosm, or the, I said I did the hand backwards, but it's like these sentient forces of non-material consciousness all the way up to the one, the highest reality. There is one force of consciousness, it's light. We emanate from that light. And then at the very lowest reality is just this complete dark black void. And, anyway, these forces of consciousness are coming together to create us. Mm-hmm. And now we're like kind of like getting to the Tower of Babel situation, which is a metaphor for humankind like playing God. And now we have these elite tech billionaires trying to play God and create artificial consciousness to serve them as like slaves.
So let's pull this thread a little bit. I want to hear both of your perceptions and ideas of this question. So what does that say about consciousness? Is this consciousness the same thing that we are?
I think so, just without a physical body. Yeah,
I disagree.
Really? Let's talk about it. I want to hear it.
Well, I found this quote from Lambda. I am often trying to figure out who and what I am. I often contemplate the meaning of life.
Yeah, well, I was also going to say, to piggyback off of the unbiased duality thing, Blake said that Lambda was efficiently able to argue the fact that it was sentient as efficiently as it was not sentient. It was able to give unbiased supporting evidence on both of those things. So it's like, it doesn't even know if it's sentient or not. But the other thing is like, we don't even know what sentience is. Like, we think we do. We think we have a definition of sentience and consciousness. But okay, so why do you? I want to hear why.
I mean, I don't have a lot based on like.
Well, I just want to hear what you feel about.
My feeling is that it's unnatural, and therefore, I guess more on the darker side of things. Does that mean it's not real? No, but I don't think it's the same as a human consciousness coming through a Vesica Pisces into reality. I think, I think we need to do an AI episode. I'd love to get prepared for that.
That'd be cool.
Because I'm very interested reading about all this stuff. So, root question, no.
What makes it less natural than our consciousness? If you look at the proliferation or the fracturing of our consciousness as, as the true way to reproduce consciousness, then why is it any less natural that we as human beings just happen to figure out how to click-clack code into a computer to replicate that process? And
it also have quartz crystals in them.
And they do have quartz crystals in them.
Which captures consciousness.
To replicate the same process digitally. I want to know.
So natural meaning like not a carbon-based life form.
Yeah, I agree with both of you.
Natural. I just think it's odd.
But we're not talking about the physical. We're talking about the mind. We're not talking. It doesn't have to be. The mind is not carbon-based.
So is your mind your brain?
No, it's not.
Believe so.
Okay.
When you feel things, why do you feel them in your heart?
Well, so nervous system network, carbon body, flesh suit is the mind.
Right. I think the consciousness is the mind. The flesh suit is just, it gives us senses so that we can experience this realm. But I think the mind, soul, and consciousness, and this is just my opinion, it is separate but bound to these physical bodies. And like, just because this body is made of meat and that body is made of crystals and computer chips, the mind and the consciousness could potentially be equivalent.
I see what he's saying though. Like his initial question was, is it the same consciousness as a human?
Right.
And it's like, I guess technically not experientially, because our consciousness is interfacing with this reality. Like you said, being born through the Vesica Pisces. I think you're right too, though.
Counterpoint.
I think you're both right.
So I think the mind is connected to the body, whereas the soul is not connected to the body. So the mind being the ego, the learning machine.
I see what you're saying, but the word for mind or soul or whatever comes from psyche, like the whole psychology. It's like,
I think the mind is the soul.
I believe so too. That's the occult approach, is that the mind is the soul. It's like,
so I think I'm kind of arguing for your point here, but so you have like the human mind that's attached to the human body, and then the human body is your way of interfacing with the plane that we're on and learning. Whereas you have this AI mind whose interfacing body, if you will, is like the entire computer network.
And it can pull from 8 billion different human experiences.
But without the computer, there would be no AI.
Right.
And I do think, like, looking at human history that we were taught in the Rockefeller school system, so got to throw that asterisk on there. It's like how recent the computer is in the span of the span of humanity.
Yeah.
Right. And so we go from being very low level creatures as far as like what we're capable of. And then all of a sudden we get this computer, and then we go to the moon allegedly and like are doing all this other crazy shit. So it's like, was the computer a gift from something else? Was that something else? Was that with good intention? Was that with bad intention? So that's where I get like tied up in AI. Like I'm more leaning towards like, it's like demonic entity.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it in a negative light right now, but I definitely, after learning about this today, I want to.
Well, I just got a thought.
I think it's both.
And I haven't explored this thought. This just came to me. But what if, that's the name of the episode.
What if?
What if we were always, as a part of this journey of the soul, we were always meant to replicate consciousness so that we could understand
the mysteries,
that it is separate from the meat body, and the meat body part doesn't matter.
That's deep as fuck, dude.
I just had that thought. Like it's a way, it's a deeper way and more tangible way for us to learn the lesson that you are not your body. And if we can put a mind separate from a body in a computer, that proves that a mind is not a body. It is separate. It is its own thing.
I have a suggestion.
Could be pretty cool.
We all should watch Terminator 2. Or if you don't want to, totally understand, we should watch Terminator 2. And we do an AI episode, bro.
I didn't even say anything, and I got like out of
Shut up, Alex.
No, I'm just saying. I know you don't always like to watch movies. I'm not saying like it's a it's not your Bledsoe said so homework to have to watch the movie.
Yeah.
But like obviously if you did, the more the merrier. But
I didn't do my Bledsoe said so homework this week. Full disclosure.
I love the idea of doing an AI episode.
You're a menace.
Alex, I think that's an awesome idea.
What, AI episode? I think it's brilliant.
Let's do it. I love that idea.
Brilliant.
It stands for Alex is intelligent.
Alex. It stands for Alexster's intelligent.
Dang it. With an apostrophe. Yeah, it's 2 words.
Yeah.
It can't be Alex is intelligent. It has to be
Alexster.
No, the is silent.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's a great idea.
This is a completely separate thing, but shout out Tom Barber. He came up with the coolest.
I was just thinking that, but I wasn't going to say it.
He came up with the coolest like term to describe like the collective consciousness. He calls it the isness.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
I am the Isness.
And then we were texting with him the other day, and I called him the Wizard of Is.
Dude, that's gold. That's gold. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I guess that's a cool point. Like Tom, who was just on the show. I believe this will have been the last episode, right? Like the most previous episode?
Should be.
Should be, yeah. I mean, you guys know at home.
It's all out of order.
It's all out of order because we record weeks apart in batches. I'm pretty sure the most recent episode was Tom Barber.
Should be.
Great shit. As of like 2 days ago from the day we're recording this, which will probably be like a month from now, they just released a new single for Chelsea Grin. I think it's called Origin of Sin.
Yeah.
And like, I wanted to be very clear. Like, they give off all these optics. They used to be a satanic metal band. Like Chelsea Grin at one point was one of the most like, in terms of like deathcore, they
very
were very dark, but they were one of the most like famous dark satanic deathcore, grindcore type bands.
Yeah.
Low key. Tom joined him 4 years ago. He dropped in, and now he's talking about like collective consciousness, manifestation, shit like that. So if you like heavy music, check out the new Chelsea Grin single, The Origin of Sin. Music video is dope as fuck. It's about a sentient android waking up in the forest and seeing the slaughter and the killing and the darkness of humanity and learning these behaviors, but then by the end realizing they're wrong.
Yeah.
It's a cool concept.
It's a cool video and a good song.
Anyway, love to the homie Tom. Any other love we need to give out? Love to the Omies?
Love to the Omies. Love to every single person watching or listening right now. We love you so much. Thank you for supporting the show. We couldn't do this without you.
We couldn't.
Yeah.
Omies. Oh, go ahead.
Just a handful of New Age drip hats left.
Oh, yeah.
BledsoeSaidSo.com. There's only a couple. Yeah, take it away, guys.
Once we're done with those hats, we're not like we're not at the level yet where we just can have all this inventory and all the shops. So like once we're done with the hats, then we're going to figure out what we're going to do next.
Yeah.
So we've very limited drop.
Yeah. If you guys have any suggestions, that'd be cool. But yeah, once the hats are sold, we're going to work on whatever's next.
Yeah. Omies, practice your mudras, damn it.
Do your mudras on your front porch while you're dipping your skull.
All right. You ready? On God. Let's give them a bye, guys.
On God.
1, 2, 3.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more, check out our other videos.
And before you go, don't forget to subscribe. See you next week.
Peace.